no place like the Q. Family, this is your favorite queer radio personality, Anna DeShawn, and this is Queer News, your favorite weekly news pod where race and sexuality meet politics, culture, and entertainment. This is your number one stop for queer news done right, only on E3 Radio.
Yes! Thank you, world. This is what I am, this is my inside matching my outside. Because you come back to this idea of clothing, right? It is, yes, certainly a piece of fabric, but it is so much more than that. It can be your armor if you're in a place that doesn't feel safe. And that can be that centering moment, or it can also be a celebration, right? And so it's really important that we are bringing queer joy throughout every moment that we can right now. And our job is to bring it in through your clothing.
That was Kelly, co-founder of Karen Finch. We had a great interview discussing her brand that serves folks like me, creating menswear inspired apparel for women, non-binary, and trans folks. Kelly and I talked so much about our own experiences, but also their 10th anniversary. Yes, family, they are celebrating 10 years in business. So if you are in New York, if you live close to Brooklyn and want to go party with our friends, I got a special RSVP link for you in the show notes. And I'm in there, family. We got a code too, Anna D, with 20% off. Yes? So get you a fit this month because it expires October 31st. Let's go. QCrew? What's going on? Thank you for your continued commitment to helping me sustain this podcast. You helped to cover the cost of our editor, Ryan, who I quite literally couldn't do this podcast without. So if you believe in the work we do, if you believe LGBTQ stories need to be amplified, if you love and respect how I report on the news and tell our stories, join the Q Crew. And family, don't forget, if you've got a local news story not getting enough amplification, if you're a queer org that you want other folks to know about, maybe you're an artist, you got a song coming out, send in a queer news tip. I love hearing about them all. So keep them coming, okay? We got 2 queer news tips in this episode right here. Come on, Brady. Come on, Mayana. I love it. So info on how to submit is in the show notes, okay? Check the show notes. That's all I'm saying. And family, it's October, which means it's LGBTQ History Month, okay? And each week, I'd like to mention a little piece of history from the community. This week, I'd like to highlight the Gerber Hart Archives. Founded in 1981, Gerber Hart Library and Archives seek to collect, preserve, and make accessible the history and culture of LGBTQ+ communities in Chicago and the Midwest, in order to advance the larger goal of achieving justice and equality. Founder Henry Gerber was inducted into the Legacy Walk this past Saturday, right outside of Sidetrack in North Halsted. A bronze memorial was dedicated to him for his work in founding the first, family hear me, the first legally recognized LGBTQ rights organization in the United States. The Legacy Walk, if you didn't know, is the only outdoor LGBTQ+ memorial of its kind in the world, and is right here in Chicago. So family, if you don't know Henry Gerber, I encourage you to check him out and to learn more about his life. Everyone should know Henry Gerber was here. Now for the news. Our top story is the Queer News Podcast has been nominated for not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Black Podcasting Awards. In politics, the Supreme Court is looking at 3 major cases that can impact us as a community, and we're going to break those down. And in Chicago, Alderperson Jesse Fuentes was briefly handcuffed by ICE. In culture and entertainment, the inaugural BE Gala awarded many LGBTQ activists, and Khalid has released his new album that's hella queer and hella liberating AF. Family, our top story for this week is really exciting. Family, the Queer News podcast has been nominated for 4 awards at the 6th Annual Black Podcasting Awards ceremony. The categories are Best LGBTQ Podcast, Best News and Politics Podcast, Best Solo Host, and I am up for the 2025 Legend Award, which is pretty surreal, to be honest. The award ceremony will be held in Baltimore, Maryland on October the 17th, and I am flying out there to be there in person. You can head to blackpodawards.com to check out this year's nominees, and hey, maybe you'll discover a new podcast to check out too. I'm telling you, the podcasting award sites is a great place to go discover your next favorite podcast. In politics, the Supreme Court is looking at a few cases that would have major impacts on our community, and I think it's important for us to not only know them, but understand them, because there is more going on here than just marriage. Okay, the cases are Chiles versus Salazar, Trump versus Orr, and Little versus Hecox, plus West Virginia versus BPJ. Okay, we're gonna break them on down. Chiles versus Salazar. Now, this challenges the constitutionality of Colorado's ban on conversion therapy for minors, folks under the age of 18. Now, the ruling in this case will determine whether conversion therapy bans violate the free speech rights of therapists. Child, I really thought we was over conversion therapy, but alas, here we are. Currently, conversion therapy is banned in 20 states. However, should the new ruling favor Chiles, providers could be allowed to profit from the dangerous and unscientific practice of conversion therapy. It'll also expand religious exemptions to cover dangerous and psychological practice and subject impressionable and vulnerable youth to these so-called treatments. These so-called treatments that we know are incredibly harmful. It has been well documented by every major medical association that conversion therapy is extremely harmful. And this ruling would inherently lead to more medical discrimination against LGBTQ plus folks. The next case, Trump versus Orr, is the White House's last-ditch attempt to impose Trump's anti-trans passport policies onto the masses after it was previously halted. Now, y'all remember, he got in office and signed all those executive orders, right? On January 20th, he signed an executive order requiring government-issued identification documents, including passports, visas, and global entry cards to reflect their sex at conception. Almost immediately, you all remember what happened? The state began holding some passports and other documents like birth certificates and court orders, yes, submitted by our trans siblings who had applied to update their sex designation, were either returned, rejected, or just left in limbo. Well, almost immediately after Trump signed that executive order, the ACLU filed a lawsuit. And one of their plaintiffs, Reed Solomon Lane, a transgender man from Western Massachusetts, had this to say about how it impacts his life. Now, as a married father of 3, Trump's executive order and the ensuing passport policy have threatened that life of safety and ease. If my passport were to reflect a sex designated that is inconsistent with who I am, I would be forcibly outed every time I used my passport for travel or identification, causing potential harm to my safety and my family's safety. Family, let me tell y'all something. Our trans siblings are in hell trying to navigate the airports and TSA during this time. Trump has made this untenable. So this is another reason we're following this case. Now, the third case that we want to tell you all about today is Little versus Hecox plus West Virginia versus BPJ. Now, these are 2 cases about trans girls who want to play on school sports teams. They are challenging state-mandated anti-trans sports bans on the grounds that they violate Title IX and the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. The complaints were filed by Lindsay Hecox, Jane Doe, and Becky Pepper Jackson, aka BPJ. 3 athletes competing in collegiate women's sports who have faced discrimination and even removal from their sports because of anti-trans sports policies. The subsequent rulings of this case may determine the gender-based protections that trans folks may or may not receive going ahead, and their eventual ruling could impact issues far beyond sports. And you can see why I wanted to tell y'all about these 3 cases: conversion therapy, passports, and trans girls in sports. These are cases that will have major, significant impacts on the people we care about in our community. It's important for us to understand all these cases are happening because what the media and what social media will serve you up are not these issues. We're not focused on these issues because there's just so much hell going on around us. But please know, the Supreme Court is deciding upon the rights of all of us. We're gonna keep following, because that's what we do. For our last political story of the day, I'm sure you all have seen Chicago all over the news as ICE and the Texas National Guard have landed in our city. And I'll say this, I have been very proud of our elected officials. They are not backing down to the Trump administration. They are coming together, protecting students going to schools because they've been attacking those places. They are going to the hospitals. Family, our elected officials here in Chicago are not backing down. And last week, Alderperson Jesse Fuentes was detained and handcuffed by ICE agents inside Humble Park Health Hospital. And I'm uplifting Jessie because Jessie is one of the 9 openly LGBTQ plus alderpersons on our Chicago City Council. And little known fact, Chicago has the most LGBTQ plus representation in City Council in the whole United States. They make up nearly 1/5 of the 50-member council, okay? But I digress. Last week, caught on video, you can see Jessie talking with federal agents stating, "We have constitutional rights." She asked, "Do you have a signed judicial warrant to be in that hospital?" The federal agents wouldn't respond. And when they got tired of Jessie, it quickly escalated and they aggressively placed the alderperson in handcuffs. Jessie kept asking the agents, "Do you have a signed judicial warrant? Do you have a signed judicial warrant?" And they forcibly escorted her out of the hospital, where she was released from handcuffs eventually. Now, Jessie was in the hospital because ICE agents were after a man who was receiving medical attention for a broken leg. And he broke his leg because he was running away from ICE. In response to this blatant abuse of power, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson had this to say: "Chicago's elected officials have a First Amendment right to document ICE's actions and to inform their constituents of their rights without federal interference. Any attempt to block this work is a direct attack on democratic accountability and an assault on the rights of the people of Chicago." Brandon Johnson signed an executive order recently prohibiting federal agents from using city property during enforcement actions and allowing private property owners to deny entry to federal agents without a warrant. Now, in response to Trump's calls for Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson to be arrested, the government had this to say. The governor said, "What kind of a country are we living in where the president of the United States is targeting his political opponents? Trump likes to pretend to be a tough guy. Come and get me." And if you've seen the video, J.B. Pritzker has his 2 arms out, like, "Come get me, come handcuff me." I love my people in Chicago because they are standing up. They are chasing ICE out of their neighborhoods. They're protesting at the ICE detention facility. They are showing up. And you know what I also hate about this moment is that they are backed by the federal government. And there is only so much that our officials can do. So family, keep showing up for your neighbors, okay? Keep looking out for one another and stay safe out there. I actually hope to have a call with Alderperson Jesse Fuentes soon to hear about her experience and to hear how we can support our neighbors. Because when I say we all we got, I mean it. We are all we got. Now seems like a great time to take a quick break. And when we get back, we're going to get into some culture and entertainment. Now, don't skip the break, because I want y'all to hear these queer news tips, okay?
Hi, Anna and the Queer News family. My name is Brady. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm based in New Hampshire. I work for New Hampshire's oldest youth-focused LGBTQ+ organization, New Hampshire Outright, and we just released a podcast I want y'all to know about. The podcast, titled Out and Into Open Arms, focuses on offering support to parents, caregivers, and other adults navigating both personal emotions and external challenges when a young person comes out as LGBTQ+. Our hosts sit down with 4 trans youth and their families to share real stories, insights, and guidance on how to walk alongside a young person in exploring their identity, and how to show up as the supportive adult that they need. You can listen to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. It is truly a great way to help amplify the voices of young trans people, which is more important now than ever. More information is available on our website, nhoutright.org, and we hope you give it a listen. Thank you, Anna, for amplifying these stories, and hope you all have a good day.
What if progress paid off, literally? With Focal Point Coaching's 90-day impact program, you don't get rewarded for being busy, you get rewarded for winning. This is your chance to shift from spinning your wheels to making moves that matter. Set bold goals, stay accountable, get paid for real results. Join the 90-day impact program today at focalpointforyou.com. That's focalpoint, the number 4, the letter U.com.
Hi, Anna. My name is Mayana. I use she, her pronouns, and I am located in Chicago. And a queer news tip for you, I just went to the Gerber Hart Archives for their queer symposium this year, and it was incredible hearing how different artists across different mediums use the archives to help with their work. And so really this is more of a shout out, but I just really want to hype up the Gerber Hart Archives. They are a part of Chicago's Architecture Open House this year, which is on the 18th and 19th. So I strongly recommend, if people are in the area, to stop by. Everybody that works at the archives are really nice people, and it's such a special place. So yeah, bye.
Family, welcome back to the show. Did you enjoy those queer news tips? Big ups to Brady and Mayana for sending those in. And if you're an entrepreneur, have you hit up Dulcie? Get paid for all that hard work you're doing. That's all I'm saying. Now let's jump into some culture and entertainment news. The Center for Black Equity held its inaugural BE Gala last week in DC. The BE stands for Authenticity and Black Equity. And the honorees represent that and so much more. Many queer activists and advocates and allies took home awards for their work in community building. Man, some of my favorites, Dr. David Johns, who was honored with the Earl D. Folks Jr. President's Award, leader of the National Black Justice Coalition. We also had Patrick Ian Polk receive Alan Sharp's Artistic Excellence Award. You've got Moby, Mobilizing Our Brothers Initiative, winning the Center for Black Equity Small Business Award. Our sister, Hope Giselle, receiving the Center for Black Equity Leadership Award. And how can we forget Big Frida receiving the National Black Pride Image Award, and the one and only U.S. Representative Jasmine Crockett receiving the Eleanor Holmes Norton Civil Rights and Justice Award. And I didn't even name all the awardees. That's what I'm saying. It was a star-studded celebration. Chair of the CBE, the Center for Black Equity, Board of Directors, Carmen Neely, opened the evening by saying, "This gala is more than a fundraiser. It's a celebration of our collective power. to shape culture, to demand justice, and to uplift one another. It is proof that when we come together, we create something unstoppable. Notable guests include George Middlebrook, Eva Marcel, CBE President Kenya Hunton, Kiara Johnson, President of the National LGBTQ Task Force, and Chile. We could go on and on and on and on. It was just a beautiful celebration of Black queer excellence. Many of these award winners continue to bring about a new renaissance of Black queer activism. And let me tell y'all something. We need them now more than ever before, those living at the intersections with big platforms using them for good. And I'm so glad they had this celebration so that they could give those folks their flowers while they're still here. For our final story today, it's all about music. Pop musician Khalid released a new album just this past Friday. The album, titled After the Sun Goes Down, is an ode to the pop icons that came before him, such as Rihanna and Britney Spears, as well as his childhood self. Khalid said of his album, "Singing a melody of a Britney Spears song or watching a Rihanna video really charged my freedom of expression as a child. I've always dreamt of being this pop star. I really tapped into that little boy and gave him his shine that he always wanted." Now, we all know this album is dropping after Khalid was outed last year by singer Hugo Almonte. Fans were quick to show support for Khalid during that time and after, okay? He says this album is a celebration of being out and a representation of queerness. My friends listen to the music and they are like, "Khalid, who is this guy? What is this side of you?" He says it's vulnerability, in a sense. "I'm embracing my sexuality relentlessly, fearlessly." Family, we got to see him at World Pride do his thing. And if you haven't seen any of his videos, they are so queer. He is loving on all the men, okay? He is embracing his sexuality at a whole new level. I love this for him. I love this for his music. I love this for his fans, okay? Now, the album consists of 17 songs and is available right now to listen on all your streaming platforms. So go download, okay, and support, because we all we got. Family, you know what time it is. It's time for Anna's Got a Word, because Anna's always got a word. And my word today is blessed, because that's exactly what I am. We had our purple tie affair. And when I tell y'all, people showed up and showed out, I am still recovering. I am still tired. But let me tell you, I am full and I am blessed. We had 190 tickets out there in the world. Over 100 people showed up. We had a photo booth. We had a flower bar. We had a band, we had hosts. Family, being in that space was everything, everything. And we raised $31,000. $31,000. And we're gonna be able to give back to a nonprofit here in the city called Task Force that's serving Black and brown youth on the west side of Chicago. I am blessed. So blessed. I can't wait to share the pictures with you. This past weekend, I had a good friend come in from out of town. We sat at the bar and we watched the WNBA. Okay, we watched the LA Aces win the 2025 WNBA playoffs in a sweep of Phoenix Mercury. I am blessed. And then you all responded to our 300th episode request to update our artwork. You all went to the forum, you all voted, okay? You commented on social media. Y'all told me it was option 3. And so option 3 it is. You will begin to see the new artwork all over the place. I am so grateful and I am blessed. I hope you take some time, family, today, sometime this week, to just think about and reflect on how you are blessed. Because things could be better, but let me tell you, things could also be a whole lot worse. Till next week. Peace.
Queer news, queer news, queer news.
If you've enjoyed what you heard, rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app. This podcast is written and produced by me, Anna DeShawn. Podcast editing by Ryan Woodhall. And brought to you by E3 Radio and distributed on The Cube. We are Queer News Done Right.